Coming up on Carolina Week, protests about racial tension at the University of Missouri led to resignations in the administration. Is the climate at UNC heading down a similar path?
An attempted kidnapping near campus prompts exploration of self-defense options.
UNC football controls its own destiny in the race for the Coastal Division title. How will the Heels hold up against Miami?
All that and more Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Silent Sam and Carolina Hall, these campus landmarks have been causing quite a stir on UNC's campus. Good evening, I'm Ben Smart.
And I'm CB Cotton. Thanks for joining us. Racially charged protests here are in some ways similar to tensions that erupted this week at the University of Missouri. But first, we have some breaking news from South Campus. Police are at Morrison Residence Hall where a person has reportedly jumped from the 10th floor. Eyewitnesses took to social media sites like Yik Yak to report the incident. They report that the male jumped at about 4:35 p.m. and that he is still alive, though in critical condition. No word yet on the identity of that man. We'll keep you updated as we learn new information. And now on to the racial tensions on campus. Let's go live now to Sharon Nunn. She's at the pit. Sharon?
CB, many university students are upset about the way the university has handled race relations, such as the Silent Sam Monument and Saunders Hall, saying the university isn't listening, much like students at a different university who are protesting race relations.
Lines of students chanting, protesting at the University of Missouri. Does it look familiar? UNC has had protests about race issues for months, calling for the removal of Silent Sam and the renaming of Saunders Hall to Hurston Hall because William Saunders had ties to the Ku Klux Klan. But the UNC Board of Governors changed the name to Carolina Hall, which didn't satisfy many of the protesters. On Missouri's campus, students were demanding the chancellor's resignation. Even the football players joined in, saying they wouldn't play until R. Bowen Lofton resigned. Monday morning, Lofton made his decision and is leaving the university as of January 1st.
This is not, I repeat, not the way change should come about.
We reached out to the UNC's Director of Media Relations, Jim Gregory, and he said although the university has no response to the Missouri event in particular, the university already has an open source of contact between the university and students via email and other forums. We also reached out to the Real Silent Sam Coalition, and they could not be reached for comment about their next steps. CB?
That's Sharon Nunn live in the pit. Thanks, Sharon.
Some students are still shaken up after an attempted kidnapping on campus this past weekend. Chapel Hill police have charged Keith Robert Webster Jr. with second-degree kidnapping and possession of a firearm by a felon. As Anik Joseph shows us, the incident is highlighting the importance of knowing how to defend yourself.
A year ago, Natalie Sablina experienced a traumatic event she'll never forget.
6 men surrounded me and they wanted the purse or something, and it was just a miracle that nothing more happened.
Sablina says she signed up for self-defense classes the next day and sees a difference.
I feel much more comfortable in most situations that I'll be able to defend myself and get away.
Instructor Stuart Endostreeter teaches a style of defense that targets specific areas of the body.
Those targets are the knees, the groin, the eyes, and the throat.
Endostreeter says if someone attempts to assault or attack you,
get your feet on the heels of the perpetrator, shove them down. Take one of your hands and get your thumb into their eye, shove that thumb in as far as it can, swirl it around and pull it out. You have to disable the person before you get up and run, because if you don't, they will try to pursue you.
Lydia Jane Micah started taking self-defense classes at Tactical Kung Fu and MMA in Durham to feel safer. Micah says it's a great way to learn how to use practical street-style fighting, but it took some getting used to.
It is a little bit unsettling and queasy because not a lot of women are comfortable with the idea of sticking their thumb in a person's eye.
Micah says you'd be surprised by what self-defense classes can teach you.
A lot of people, they don't think that they can fully bend a person over and knee them in the gut.
Endostreeter makes sure to practice these scenarios with his students. Eventually, the techniques become automatic. In Chapel Hill, I'm Anik Joseph reporting.
UNC and the Chapel Hill Police Department are working on safety improvements. An email from Chancellor Carol Folt mentioned increasing officer foot patrols, updating security cameras, and evaluating options that will make nighttime travel safer.
Former UNC student Chandler Kenya appeared in court Tuesday. The judge continued his case. Kenya killed 3 people in July when he drove the wrong way on Interstate 85. He faces multiple felony charges and a lawsuit from the victim's family. Kenya's lawyers say Chandler and his family are struggling.
Genuine concern, and you can see it in his entire family's face. They're just doing the best they can, and they struggle day by day.
Kenya's next court appearance is scheduled for January 12th.
New information in the academic athletics scandal is still haunting our university. Maddie Gardner is live from the satellite studio with more. Maddie, what have you learned?
UNC recently released some of the documents the university gave to former federal prosecutor Kenneth Weinstein as part of his investigation into the fake classes scandal. The university released more than 215,000 pages of emails and other documents, but that's only a small portion of the 5 million pages given to Weinstein. UNC says it cost $4 million to reproduce the records, making it the biggest and most expensive public records release in the school's history.
And Maddie, as you've been looking through these documents, did you find anything new that we didn't know before?
The documents included a number of emails between key players in the scandal, academic tutors, and even former head football coach Butch Davis. But if anything, they corroborate what we already knew. The fake classes began in 1993 and lasted until 2011. And Deborah Crowder, who was at the heart of this scandal, received a lot of praise from the athletics department for her support of student athletes. Roughly 3,100 students were enrolled in at least one of these classes before they graduate, and about half of them were student athletes.
Thanks, Maddie. The university is still waiting to hear from the NCAA about possible punishment.
Some students have reported being the target of a check cashing scam. If you receive emails looking for babysitters or for personal assistance, you should delete them immediately. If you respond, it will trigger more emails, including one offering a check with instructions to send some of the money to a different location. The check is fake, and trying to cash it could get you into a lot of trouble.
A familiar face will be speaking to Carolina's December grads. The university has selected Kelly Hogan as the fall commencement speaker. Hogan is the director of institutional innovation for the College of Arts and Sciences and a senior STEM lecturer in the biology department. She graduated from UNC in 2001 with her doctorate and began teaching here just 3 years later. The commencement ceremony will take place at 2 p.m. December 13th in the Dean Dome. Farms are popping up across North Carolina as the state's agritourism industry explodes.
Find out how the time is ripe for one local orchard. Sweet tea, fried food, and Southern accents. These are just a few icons of our region of the country, but the Triangle area seems to be an exception to the dialect expectations. One study shows us why some of us don't have the traditional Southern accent.
Dialogue. The way we speak is making a drastic shift, a shift that's taking away that sweet Southern twang.
Some people think I'm from Alabama.
But UNC junior Ebony Cook's twang isn't from Alabama. She and her family are from Raleigh. How often does she hear an accent like hers?
Not very much. I met like one girl, and it's like when you meet someone who sounds very similar to you, it gets even worse.
Some would say UNC senior Alex Pazinski's speech isn't similar to Ebony.
Most people say I don't really have an accent.
Like Ebony, she's also from Raleigh, but her family from farther away.
And my parents are from just outside of Toronto, Canada.
John Forrest is a research assistant at NC State. He and a team conducted a study about regional speech patterns in Raleigh, examining voices like Alex's and Ebony's.
We can take the stuff you said. So if I said the word bait, what I can do is I can put this through some software that'll actually show us the waveforms of what you're saying.
And those waveforms are lines that Forrest is looking at say a lot about a person's accent.
A change in the line from low to high, and words like radio is a good indicator of a Southern accent.
The line changes because of the way Southerners hold their mouths while pronouncing vowels.
For Southerners, it kind of goes through from the middle of your mouth forward.
So why do Alex and Ebony sound so different if they're both from Raleigh? In simple terms, many people from across the U.S. came to the Triangle area during the building of the Research Triangle Park.
And when you have people moving in from different places, you kind of get some changes going on in the dialect.
Therefore, Alex's accent is less Southern. There are other factors as well.
African American English tends to take a very different trajectory than European American English.
But no matter how you say some phrases,
fixin' to.
Fixin' to.
It's all good.
When we're talking about dialect change or dialect difference, these are not differences of value or good versus bad. These are just differences of different.
One of the stigmas associated with a Southern accent is lack of intelligence. Sugar, I can promise you that's not true.
One UNC alumnus is trying to bring attention to mental health issues among students. Rashawn Miller calls mental health problems the silent killer on campus. Miller helped organize a service walk called Let's Talk About It. The walk included a tour of campus health. Participants got to see the mental health services the university provides. Miller said he took advantage of those services when he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder while attending UNC.
Learning can be fun, maybe even tasty. Kids Do Children's Museum wants it to be both. The museum hosts a special trip to the farmers market each Tuesday. At To Market, kids start with a recipe. They travel outside to the market at University Place. Kids Do Money lets them buy ingredients, which they bring back to cook together. There might even be some free samples. For $10, little participants learn food prep, shopping skills, and basic math. Back at Kids Do, they're supervised slicing and dicing. This week, for some yummy apple biscuits. Students show that kids who participate in shopping improve at other skills and tend to be happier.
Another way to get fresh ingredients is to go straight to the farm. More people are visiting North Carolina farms to get fresh produce and to learn more about how it's grown. Sharon Nunn shows us what agritourism is all about.
And the blueberries.
But not just blueberries.
It's bigger than the other apples.
Apples. This is Nivea. She's at
Millstone Creek Orchard on a beautiful day.
It's one of thousands of farms and businesses popping up all over the state as agritourism grows in popularity. Agritourism includes farm and vineyard tours, horseback rides, animal petting, hiking, fishing, and of course, pick-it-yourself shopping.
I got a green apple.
Green apples, just one of many items North Carolina farmers are using to improve their businesses. Over the last decade, more than half of North Carolina farmers said they've seen an increase in the number of visitors coming to their farms. Millstone Creek owner Beverly Mooney says her business is no stranger to the long lines.
We have grown at a very quick rate, and our hardest challenge right now is to control my growth.
Millstone started in 2001 when the first trees were planted by Mooney's father. He handled both the farming and the operations.
He passed away earlier this year, and so now I'm taking over the operations side also and going to learn to farm.
Over the past few years, the orchard has grown to having hay rides, apple picking,
We got a lot of apples.
and all the apple baked goods you could possibly imagine.
People want to get reconnected with their food, absolutely, especially when there's a scare across the country. They want to know where their food is coming from.
She says that's precisely why agritourism is growing.
Apples to pick, pumpkins to pick, it doesn't get a lot better.
And will continue to grow in the coming years, one pick at a time. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sharon Nunn reporting.
And although winter is coming soon, many farmers like Mooney offer off-season events like storytelling and hay rides. Mild temperatures and sunny skies are the perfect combination for being out and about on campus.
How long will this beautiful weather last? Drew Day is next with your forecast.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Drew Day. Thanks for staying with us. We'll start off your forecast this evening with a look at the current temperatures outside at Horace Williams Airport at 64 degrees. The dew point is at 44, and we have a little bit of a light wind out there from the west at 3 miles per hour. And it was a nice day out there today. Temperatures were able to make it into the upper 60s. 68 was the high here in Chapel Hill, and that was all thanks to plenty of sunshine that we had across the state. Just a few passing clouds to the north, but otherwise plenty of sunshine for today. So we'll turn our eyes to the west to watch the next system that will be moving in. It's currently located in the plains of the U.S. right now. It's a little area of low pressure lining up right in here, and it has a cold front stretching down south of it. You can see it right on the back edge of the cloud cover. You can see there's a sharp difference of where we had the clouds, and it does it. Behind the front, we have subsidence and sinking air, so that'll get rid of all the cloud cover. And this front will be pushing eastward in the coming days and bring us cooler weather for the weekend. So we'll start off with 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is the geopotential height map. This is a look at the upper level flow in the atmosphere, and you can see that area of low pressure even in the upper levels over the plains. We're in a ridge right now. You can see how the lines are bending northward just a little bit, so that's why we had plenty of sunshine today and warmer temperatures. But as we head into tomorrow evening and for the day on Friday, we'll have that cold front begin to pass through at the surface, and you can see the lines have started to dip down just a little bit. So we expect cooler temperatures for the day on Friday. Highs will only be in the 60s, and then as that system moves out and pushes westward, we'll start to see this ridge begin to build in for the weekend. So we expect it to just be a one-day cool down, and then we'll quickly warm up after that as this ridge begins to move in for the day on Sunday. And then by the time we get to the beginning portions of next week, we'll begin to see this other trough begin to form in the plain states, and it even gets a little tight here at the bottom where it looks like it's getting ready to close off and form another area of low pressure, and we'll be watching that to perhaps bring us some rain later on next week into midweek. But that's a little bit farther down the road, and we have plenty of time to watch that and see how that evolves in the future. Before this evening, temperatures will fall back into the mid-40s this evening with mostly clear skies, so it'll be chilly out there. Grab a jacket if you're headed out. Temperatures warm up tomorrow afternoon, so another warm day, 72 here in Chapel Hill with just a few clouds in the skies and light winds. And as you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be plenty of sunshine out there. It'll be in the 50s at that point. And then once the sunshine comes out, we'll start to get some vertical mixing. We'll start to see some clouds form by lunchtime, upper 60s. And then once the sun goes back down and that vertical mixing stops, we'll clear back out in the evening. Temperatures at that point will be in the 50s at that time, with 57 here in Chapel Hill. So it's warm again tomorrow, but then we'll slowly cool back down as that front moves through, although plenty of sunshine, so no rain is expected for the next 5 days. 55 there on Saturday, and even near freezing to wake up Sunday morning. But again, it's just a one-day cold spell, and we'll warm back up into the 60s after that. So looks like some nice weather ahead.
Well, I am so glad that things have finally dried out and I can put away my rain boots now.
Yes, you can put the rain gear away, but you're going to have to bring out the winter jacket now.
So we're going to start to see all those jackets and gloves and hats all across campus as students find their jackets out of the closet once again.
Yes,
thanks, Drew.
It's becoming winter. You're welcome.
UNC football has a chance to make history once again this week.
A win against Miami this weekend and a little help from an unlikely ally would send the Heels to the conference championship game.
That's next.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Kendra Douglas with sports. So it's a huge weekend for football, but first, let's take a look at basketball, where the Tar Heels got major news today. Four-star point guard Seventh Woods committed to the school this morning, choosing UNC over South Carolina and Georgetown. Woods became a prominent name in the 2016 recruiting class when his freshman mixtape got more than 13 million views. Let's look at some of that again. Woods is the most athletic point guard we've seen in recent memory. His explosive quickness and bounce will be a perfect fit in UNC's transition offense. He'll be Carolina's newest human highlights reel. Look at him punch some of these dunks. He's also an elite defender, something Roy Williams will always want more of. He needs to work on his shooting and ball handling, but for right now, UNC can rejoice being in seventh heaven. After the big win against Duke, Carolina football jumped up number 17 in the coaches and AP polls. The college football playoff released its rankings last night, and it looks like the Heels are still being overlooked. After being unranked the week before, UNC is now 23rd in the college football playoff poll. They are currently 5-2 loss teams ranked ahead of the Tar Heels. Looks like that opening game loss to South Carolina still continues to haunt this team. After a stunning performance against Duke this past weekend, Marquise Williams also got some national attention. Williams was named the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Week for his record-breaking performance against Duke. He picked apart the Blue Devils' secondary pass for 494 yards, with 400 of them coming in the first half alone. Williams also broke Darian Durant's school record for career touchdowns. Squeeze had 5 TDs Saturday, including this 74-yard beauty to Matt Hollins, bringing his career total to 83. He has a shot at, get this, 100 career touchdowns before his time at Carolina ends. Williams is the first ACC player to receive this weekly award since Clemson's Deshaun Watson in 2014. Williams' outstanding performance on the field have put the Tar Heels in a position to seal up the Coastal Division this Saturday. Here's what needs to happen. If UNC beats Miami and Duke beats Pittsburgh, the Heels can punch their ticket to Charlotte. It would be Carolina's first ever trip to the ACC championship game. Football takes on Miami this weekend, but that isn't the only big game on campus. The third-seeded women's soccer team starts what the players hope will be a deep NCAA run Friday, playing Big South Conference champs Liberty at 6:30 at Fetzer. The ACC championship field hockey team also starts its tournament run this weekend, playing Boston University at 11:30 Saturday. So you can enjoy a field hockey and football doubleheader.
So it sounds like the Heels really have a lot of sports games coming up this weekend.
It's going to be packed around campus, and I'm really hoping for some Carolina victories.
Well, hopefully I can check out one of those games. Thanks, Kendra. You might be used to looking at leaves. You might be used to looking at leaves, now you can hear them too. A musical master in China is passing on his heritage through creative sound.
Every year, thousands of students take advantage of UNC's more than 300 study abroad programs in more than 70 countries across the world.
One of those students is Carolina Week reporter Jacqueline Lee. She's spending the semester in China and tells us how cultural masters are central to maintaining the country's rich heritage.
He Wenxing is looking for his musical instrument. After careful inspection,
when I was a shepherd boy, I learned how to play the leaf from my father.
mastering the leaf is in his blood, a family tradition dating back more than 200 years.
Leaf playing originated when horse caravans were the method of travel. Playing the leaf was a convenient way to kill time.
But times have changed. There are 55 minority groups within China. Their traditions are slowly disappearing in the face of China's rapid development. Because of He's family tradition and his skills, the Chinese government officially titled him Cultural Master of the Leaf. Supported by the Chinese government, Zhao Jie documented cultural masters like He.
They want to keep the tradition alive, so they decided to choose like a different culture masters and actually make them become like the leader or the master who actually can teach the next generation.
Masters range from dancers to music players. There are 30 to 40 masters in each of China's 23 provinces. The Chinese government pays for the cultural masters' schooling. In exchange, the cultural masters are encouraged to pass on their skills at schools like the one behind me. He tried to teach me a melody or two. It's not as easy as it looks. As if mastering the leaf wasn't hard enough, he knows how to play the dizi, the huluzi, and the jushin. Here in his music room, he showed me he can play more than 20 other instruments.
By knowing a variety, I can be included in different ethnic cultures and perform with their music groups.
He told me music simply brings him happiness. It does that for his countrymen too. In Kunming, China, I'm Jacqueline Lee reporting.
Let me tell you, I'm sure my 10-year-old self would have loved to know how to play a leaf as an instrument.
Me too. Maybe we can take a trip to China and learn how.
Hey, let's do it. Upgrade from the violin I used to play.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, before we go tonight, an update to our breaking news story. The Department of Public Safety has confirmed that a man who is not a UNC student did indeed fall from Morrison Residence Hall. He has been transported to UNC hospitals, and more information will be released to the campus community as the investigation continues. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.